All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am James Oliver Jr., co-founder and CEO of Kabila, which is an inclusive co-founder matching app and a global community for badass BIPOC and women founders. And I'm also a Techstars alum. And I'm excited because today, we're going to be talking to Adam Phillips, who's the managing director of not one, but two Techstars accelerator programs. So we're going to bring him up in a second, so he can talk about what he's looking for, how to submit a great application. You can get your questions answered. So in the meantime, if you could just drop in the comments where you're coming in from, that would be great. And in terms of Kabila, big day for Kabila today. Big day. We just dropped our MVP of our co-founder matching app. I was just talking to Adam backstage, and I was like, I'm excited and I was like, afraid is not the right word, but he's like, if you're not a little afraid, there's a problem. I'm like, yeah, it is a little. It's one thing to talk about being a founder, but it's another thing to build a product and launch a product and put the dog in front of the food and put the food in front of the dog and see if the dog will eat the food. It's two different things, right? No more talk. Anyway, so big day today. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Adam up here. What's up, my man? How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Congratulations, man. This is a very big day, and it is a very big deal to launch. So congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we got Team Live. Some of these comments coming in from Atlanta. Yes, ATL in the building. That's what's up. Coming in from Alexandria.
Now I'm going to be reading all the comments.
Hey. Yeah, sorry.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah, congrats on the MVP launch. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We say have a great LinkedIn Live. Let's do it. All right. So, Adam runs the Baltimore Equitech program and the DC powered by JP Morgan program. And I want him to come up. First of all, it's important for y'all to meet him, right? Because you can't just roll up off the street, drop an application, and nobody in the program knows you. And think you laughing because it's true, right? And think you're going to get in.
Me, it's true. It's true.
I mean, there's exceptions, right? But 9.5 times out of 10, that's not how that works because they got a whole batch from last 2 or 3 times of people that they like that didn't get in, who are making progress, who get in, that they know. So anyway, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. And you're totally right, by the way. It does help, but here's the thing that doesn't help. Don't ask me for half an hour coffee because I don't have that many coffees in me. But it is always useful for me to spend 15 minutes talking to somebody, getting the story, seeing the pitch deck, but mostly like having the conversation. That is really helpful. So
yes,
it's a good call.
All right, everybody. So drop your questions in the comments here, and we'll do our best to get to all of them. And also, please share this out because we're streaming on Facebook, not Instagram, everywhere. LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, for multiple accounts here. If you're in the sound of our voice, just please share this and invite your friends who are founders who might want to apply to Techstars to come meet Adam and understand what they need to do to submit a great application. So, Adam, you're running 2 accelerator programs. I mean, you just don't like sleep. Like, what's that about?
It's a little crazy, I will admit. But the nice thing is, well, one, I love the work. Working with founders and like it's really exciting to see people have their dream come to life and have something that they thought of in their brain kind of come out into the world. I got to do that a few times, and the experience of the fear, the exhilaration, the experience of just kind of having the whole thing come to life is fun. So I like being close to that. I always tell everybody the best job I ever had, and it continues, was as a 7th grade basketball coach when I was teaching 7th graders just out of college. This was like, some kids knew how to play, some kids were introduced to the game, but watching people, these kids who were motivated, they all wanted to play. And watching them all kind of take the steps it took to learn the process and learn the game and learn the rules and figure out what they could do, what they couldn't do, and make progress. I loved that. And I feel like, honestly, that's sort of what this is like. I do enjoy sleep, so I don't want to do more than 2 programs. Techstars, if you're listening, but right now 2 is great. So I'm excited.
So what are the differences between the 2 programs that you run, and whom do they serve?
Yeah, great question. So We have kind of generally partner programs and then city programs. Both of these essentially are partner programs. So there's another entity involved that is interested in kind of the work we do, but they are different kinds of partner programs. So up in Baltimore, what we ran the beginning of this year with Upsurge Baltimore, which is the partner up in Baltimore, the Equitech program, really their focus is on innovation that benefits everybody. They have a larger thesis that goes beyond just tech companies and the work that we're doing, but we're a part of their Equitech vision for the city of Baltimore, which really is seeing a lot of different sectors in the city are really seeing booms at this time. And there's lots of swelling in the small business community, swelling in the upsurges in the nonprofit community and in the tech community. All sorts of good stuff is happening in Baltimore, and we're just one part of their strategy for benefiting, bringing benefits to the city that benefit everybody. In DC, we're part of the JP Morgan program, which is a number of cities throughout the country. And really what they're doing is, they're putting their clients' money to work in cities that their clients are interested in. And they're partnering with us to help to really solidify some of the work with Black, Brown, and women founders in those cities. So similarly themed programs, but slightly different, both industry agnostic, but get to do great work in both.
The JP Morgan programs is one of the things that inspired me to actually start Kabila. So I don't know if you know this, but also I have a nonprofit that I started. So Brad Feld, Techstars co-founder, helped us get this going. It's a nonprofit for Black parents who are entrepreneurs, and
nice.
Just sitting in these spaces with really smart people and organizations like NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center and partnering up with the JP Morgan Foundation on some work and seeing people who are trying to make a difference and solve this problem, all while looking at the data, which are not that good. Black founders in Q1 got 0.63% VC funding. Women founders always around 2 or less. We all know the data. Mm-hmm. But the fact that people are attacking this problem now, and you look at the returns, the 30% greater returns that founder teams of more than one gender, race, or ethnicity will give investors at exit, eventually it's going to change. Mm-hmm. So I'm betting the next 10 years of my life that it will. And when it does, here at Kabila, we'll be at the epicenter of the most badass, inclusive co-founder teams in the world. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're doing. So thank you for the work you do. We got Noreen coming in from Berlin. Look at that.
There we go, Noreen. Goodness.
That's what's going on from Berlin. Yeah. I saw John Hill. He was actually they have an accelerator program in Berlin.
John's the man. He's awesome.
Noreen, have you applied to the Berlin program? Just curious.
I wanted to put a point on, and we're gonna get to you, Sade. I want to put a point on what you said a little bit about the sort of the parent entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Some of so much of the industry, and this is lots of industries, but venture is no different. Sort of suffer from lack of imagination in a lot of ways. And while certainly there are drawbacks to being, I'm a parent of 3. Thank God I have 3 wonderful baby girls. They're not babies anymore. One of them's in college, but sort of, you put me in a bucket of people who are, sort of not the typical entrepreneur, not the typical founder, for being a parent for one of many reasons potentially. Mm-hmm. But I think about things like being a parent, age, obviously race and gender, those categories of folks who kind of get counted out. A lot of it is just for lack of imagination, but you think about what a parent really has to do to make their life work. I mean, it's the same reason my parents wanted me to play a sport in high school, was because the more I had to do that I cared about, the more I organized my time and made the most use of my time instead of just letting it sit. Like there's so much about that, a parent can't be a good entrepreneur, or is given 2 decent or similar options, you choose the non-parent over the parent. There's so much of that lack of imagination. I think that is going to shift. I'm with you. I think I think you're in the right spot.
And I appreciate that.
I'm happy to be here too.
If you want something done, you give it to a busy person. I mean, I started the Parentpreneur Foundation during COVID when I was virtual schooling my then, I don't know, the 7-year-old mm-hmm. twins, and my daughter had undiagnosed really bad ADHD. Mm-hmm. And I started the foundation. Mm-hmm. Give it to a busy person if you want to get it done. All right. So, So is it Sade or Sade? I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that.
I know. I'm going to say Sade because of how I grew up.
It's got to be Sade, right? So she said the DC deadline is earlier than the others. Am I allowed to apply to DC, then come back later to apply to the others, or do all the applications have to be sent at the same time?
That's a good question. So the general theme, excuse me, my goodness, of all of our applications is we want you to find the opportunity that fits you best. So we are pretty good about being flexible with how you apply. But my application deadline will close earlier than others because it's just, we kind of march month by month in time for when we start different accelerators. So if you're interested in multiples and mine comes before someone else's, yeah, my deadline will come first. If I think we still have a ranking system, we used to have, a 1, 2, 3 ranking system. I think that's shifting. I think it's not a hard ranking now, but if you choose or somehow tag DC, I'll get to see it before other people because I'm just first in time. But if for some reason some other accelerator was a better fit for you, that is like no harm, no foul at all. We want you to find a fit that's good for you, Sade. So, and we will keep calling you Sade
until she tells us to stop. Right? Let's see. She said yes. Okay, I guess it is Sade. That's right. If you tell us to stop, we'll change it up. So I had this. So this is where you can go find out about the Equitech program. What's the website for the other program?
For the DC? Yeah, I can put it in here. Let's see. It is Techstars. I should have it already set, but it is not set just yet. Oh, there it is.
So good. You can drop that in chat.
Yeah.
All right. So let me move on to another comment here. Let me go another comment. Let's see. So first of all, Colette's coming in from Brooklyn. We appreciate that, Colette. Thank you.
Hey,
thank you.
I love Brooklyn.
I'm from Brooklyn.
You're from Brooklyn?
Yeah, I grew up in Flatbush. Went to Brooklyn Tech for high school.
What? Brooklyn Tech? Okay, so I'm sure you know well, you could know my cousins, I should say. My New York Ave, I don't know if you know New York Ave. You probably know New York Ave. My family has lived there. My uncle, so my mother's brother, has lived there pretty much 40, 50 years.
It's very possible I know those folks.
3 male cousins who came out of there. So I'm sure you know who you could know them. Brooklyn Tech was their high school. So yeah.
Oh, perfect. So we got folks coming in. Muhammad's coming in from Birmingham in the UK.
Okay.
Let's see. So DC is definitely her number one. Keep on the lookout for an application. So folks, I just want to say this is really important because if you want to apply to either one of the programs that he's in, and I say this all the time. People come to my events all the time. I say all the time, investors like Adam invest in lines, not dots. Mm-hmm. So the question is like, okay, well, how can you engage with him? Follow Adam on Twitter. Adam's very active on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Follow him on Twitter. Engage. Like when I saw you pop up when you got announced, I started engaging with you. Mm-hmm. He's super friendly. Like he engaged back. Like don't be a jerk. Don't be too pushy, of course. Right. But engage with his content. You can go to his website, adamphillips.com. Is that okay if I share that, Adam?
That's good. Yeah. It's you guys probably won't be hiring me for speaking gigs, but that's pretty much what that's for. But that's fine. I have pictures of me with coffee cups there. So
I saw that on your Twitter profile. So follow him on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right. Engage with his content. So again, when your application does come through, Sade, and plus from this call, he'll know you. Mm-hmm. Do you encourage people to email you, Adam?
I typically don't. It's great if you come in if the DMs on LinkedIn are great because that gives us a chance to do that first kind of back and forth. Yep. I can kind of look at your profile. We will follow each other. And then if we need to, we can kind of go to that next level of the email. But because my email is full all the time. So.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you do reach out to him and you can say, hey, look, I saw you at the conversation with James from Kabila, right? That's another dot. Right. I appreciate what you said about this. It's another dot. Follow him on LinkedIn, engage with his content. You're giving these dots and you're connecting these dots for him. So here's the link for the JP Morgan program.
Yep. And it's funny. The dots not lines is so I had such an experience, such an interesting experience on that yesterday. There was a guy who I met at a networking event. I'd done like a masterclass thing and he was clearly at the class, clearly wanted to talk afterwards. So we both kind of knew that he was probably interested in connecting with, what I was doing with the accelerator. So it was like everybody kind of knew the score. So there was no need to do any preamble. And I so appreciated that when he did come up to me, like the first thing he did was reference something I spoke about, and then pulled it right to what he was trying to essentially soft pitch. And it made it so easy for me. Like, I was just like, great, let's do this. Cause we all know the score. We know you want to pitch it, but you gave me a thing first. Like it made it so easy. I was like, okay,
100%.
This guy got it right. So
absolutely. That's exactly right. So folks coming from Atlanta, Maryland in the house, Baltimore,
Baltimore City. Okay.
Nairobi, Kenya. What?
Wow, my goodness. Hello,
Right?
everybody.
It's pretty late there. What's the he wants to know what the Twitter problem. See, dude, you're late, man. See, dude's great. See, dude, actually, we did an event and David Cohn did his talk, and
Mm,
Sidhu was one of David's victims to
okay.
that. So here's his Twitter, Adam H. Phillips.
That's
So I
me.
got a couple more questions here.
Yeah.
So how many startups do you accept for each program?
Yeah. So anywhere in Baltimore, it's anywhere from 10 to 12. It can be, a little bit of a range. And in DC, it's 12. So, and actually, I got to tell you, we're actually stacking 2 programs in DC starting in September. So it will be 24. So it's 2 classes technically, but we'll be running them concurrently. So it'll be 24 companies.
Oh my
And so,
God.
yeah.
Somebody else, what's his Twitter? Folks, come on now. Y'all are killing me. Here we go. I'm gonna put this up one more again. It was on the screen already. Hold on now.
It was sitting there
It
while I
was
was
sitting there.
asked.
Where's his Twitter?
And it even said Twitter, not just the @ So
Knock it off. I love you, Kimberly. You know that, right? I'm just kidding. Sort of. But I do love you. So any more questions, guys? This is your chance to get your questions answered. Drop them in the chat. Any industries you're focused on? I don't think that
Sure.
you are. You are?
Yeah, I'll run it down for you. No worries. So we're industry agnostic, but I do think it sort of works for us right now to kind of focus on the things that are strengths for the region. So fintech is strong here, health tech is strong here, prop tech, insure tech. I'm also an attorney. I worked at USDOT, so transportation, logistics, distribution, all that stuff is very exciting to me. Supply chain stuff. I get weirdly happy about regulatory businesses. I know most people don't like them, but I love them.
Super weird.
Feels like a moat, right? Like if you can get in there and you understand the rules, like you can get there before other people. But yeah, that's I sort of try to play to the strengths, but we're going to be opportunistic as well. And we don't have to stick to those strictures. So if there are good opportunities, love to see them.
So Sidhu has an interesting question. What's the hot take on junction of AI and blockchain data?
Hot take. Well, I'll say hot take is that all those blockchain businesses last year are now AI businesses like that. That is a hot take for sure. But I'll tell you this: the real hot take in my mind on AI is one. It is absolutely. It has to be understood by everybody. My 19-year-old, in college first year, she was saying, "Oh, I like this. This is interesting. This is interesting." And we were just texting back and forth a few weeks ago. And I said, as much as you can, dive into this stuff like headlong. She's not studying it in school necessarily, but I was like, get conversant because this is where we're headed. But the reality is that a lot of businesses right now are just vaporware. They're just wraps around, Chat GPT. So if you pitch a vaporware business, that is, just, I have a software layer that, is going to call to Chat GPT. There better be a lot more to it than just that, because you're basically completely dependent on, somebody else's API. So ideally we want to see obviously somebody being able to, a founder coming in with some of their own qualifications, some of their own technical skills, or at least an in on a market, besides just, we created this vaporware around ChatGPT.
So that's if you want to call it AI, you're saying.
Yes, right. If you're in the AI, if you say
okay.
AI space,
it's
right?
okay to use the tools, but don't.
No, it's great to use
like
the tool.
This is your jam, and it's not. Not
That's right. No, great to use the tool. And I love the tool, and it's on my phone. I mean, I play with it all the time. Like, it's important to know it.
Yeah, because with our co-founder matching app, we are using AI tools,
right,
to do a variety of things to ultimately help founders build trust, move along in their co-founder matching journey as quickly as possible, and have the AI make recommendations for matches based on the information we feed it. So we are doing that, but we're not. In my pitch deck, it doesn't say this is some AI driven platform. That's ridiculous.
Right.
I do say we're using AI to do some things, but that's not.
Which is totally true. Yeah, and that's great. Like, that to me makes sense, because then it's sort of, you understand the business you're in. Because I think, so often founders don't quite understand what they're actually doing sometimes, and they have great intentions, great skills, but they don't know what they're really selling. Who's my real audience? What am I actually selling them?
Yeah.
If you're just sort of one wrapping around, Chat GPT, like that's tough. That's tenuous. So
yeah, for sure. So, let's talk about how hard it is right now for underestimated founders to raise in this environment. And, I think I mentioned we just did an event for Overlook Founders not too long ago, which is a huge success. Cone came in and did a great Techstars workshop of how to overcome investor objections. If you're listening and you want to see that, you can always join my Kabila community. I got a thing for that here somewhere. There we go. And we have replays of conversations with David Cohn. We have replays of conversations with Brad Feld, who's one of the co-founders. So many amazing MDs across the Techstars portfolio, and just a lot of really useful information in there. You can tap in. It's a free community. So you could tap into that if you want. But is there anything, like, what are you doing differently right now to help underestimated founders raise capital in this current whack fundraising environment?
It's a great question. Well, Techstars, I'll say more broadly, the biggest benefit, and I think it's our distinctor in a lot of ways, the thing we do better than other people, is sort of like grabbing hands, and we say, hey, we're all kind of here, and if you want to connect to me and you're in the Techstars network, and we're 10 people away, as long as you're in the network, you can get to me. That to me is like sort of one of the ways we pull out of this as a group. So joining Techstars has, in my mind, that benefit very clearly. In terms of sort of the unique environment, it is hard in the street, Shade, for sure. And actually, that master class we just did yesterday was about this, was about building in a tough environment.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and the thing that I talked about, the theme of what we talked about there was really sort of what's on the inside of your business and what's on the outside of your business. And at all times, you need things on the inside and the outside to go well. So the inside are things like, how you run the business, how you hire, all those sorts of things. Customers, how do you build with customers? How do you organize the business so it's efficient? Outside of the business is fundraising, angels, even venture capital, private equity, all those sorts of other options. Those are kind of outside the business. And right now, what I told people yesterday is, it is a time to prioritize. In difficult environments. You prioritize inside and you maximize for the inside. So understanding what your real runway is, understanding what your, what are the real factors? Did you actually prepare for a difficult time? And not all of that is not just so you sort of stay there, but it's so you understand what you're actually dealing with. What are the actual conditions of your business? What are your customers actually buying from you? And can you find more of those customers?
That's a great, what are they actually buying?
Yeah.
That's a great thing right there.
Well, we talked about, the classic way to talk about it is the drill in the hole, right? So nobody goes to the hardware store. I shouldn't say nobody, because somebody, maybe Sade does. But
Sade's looking for drill bits. I'm excited about drill bits.
Yeah,
because you want to put a hole. You're not going to buy a drill bit.
100%. You're not just like fascinated by the shape of these drill bits. You're thinking, well, Black & Decker makes the best ones because they shine really like, that's not the point. The point is you want the hole, and you want it to be clean. You want it to be in the right spot, the right size, easy to make, all that. That's what you're looking for. So that's why you buy the drill and the drill bits. You want the hole. So one of the examples yesterday we talked about, which was funny, one of the guys in the Silton, actually, Silton is the Sade. Silton is a friend and somebody who was actually in one of the Equitech programs before. He said he likes ketchup. He never wanted ketchup. He didn't want the CATSUP. He wanted ketchup, and he's willing to pay more for the Heinz ketchup, the KETCHUP. I guess I'm spelling that right, hopefully. And it's like, and that's right. Like it's similar concept. It's both vinegary, tomatoey kind of stuff. But he was willing to pay more for ketchup because it felt more real. It felt more authentic. He liked the taste better for whatever it is. He was willing to pay more for ketchup. So that's what he was buying. He wasn't buying red sauce. He was buying ketchup versus ketchup. So you have to figure out like what you're actually selling to people and what they're actually buying. And then you double down on inside stuff. You double down on inside, and then you figure out what your actual conditions are in your business. And then you can talk to people intelligently on the outside about what you really need. How do you bridge to, maybe you're doing bridge rounds instead of full raises. And this is what you actually need instead of what you think you need. It's hard to get funding in all conditions, first of all, by the way. Statistically, hardly anybody gets funded in any environment. So when you want to go out to the outside environment and look for money, you need to know exactly what's happening on the inside. So that's what we talked about, sort of like the inside versus the outside focus, and focusing first on the inside.
So I want to make a comment, and because
Yeah,
I'm just going to have to make the comment and get some of these questions because we could have a whole half an hour conversation. This comment I'm about to
sure.
make. We talked about
Yeah.
knowing your runway, and it's really funny to me when people talk about how much runway do you have
Mhm.
because like we've been out of money for months
That's right.
or almost out of money for months.
Yeah.
So runway is all relative. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well,
I'm
but
just
runway can also include customers. It can include inventory. It can include self-funding. It can be a lot of
Mhm,
things. It's not
mhm.
just like money in the bank. It's a lot of things. Like how
Yeah.
long can you keep this thing going?
How
Is
long? That's it. How long before you going to quit? What's your runway for that?
That's 100% true. That's right. Because that's the ultimately like running out of money. Yes,
So I
is a
said,
great.
what is runway? Exactly. It's hilarious.
What is runway? Fair enough.
So Keith he's got a two-part comment here.
Let's go, Keith. Here we go. Ooh,
Right.
piloting and branding existing brownfield sites. This morning we acquired it for. Oh, cool. Already have community support. That's great. Solar tech. I love solar tech. Very interested in solar tech. Funding for our prototype to be completed. Where you're, there's tons of grant money and municipal money that is mostly non-dilutive for solar tech. The biggest problem with it is time. But if Baltimore City already sort of agreed to a site, I'd be shocked if they didn't start connecting you to those resources. But yeah, for green tech, especially on the solar side, it's sort of in some ways it's the easiest to grasp, and I think there's been a lot of progress in it in the last probably 10 years. There's lots of non-dilutive money that tends to be out there. It just takes a while to get, and you have to sort of figure it out. But let's definitely talk because Baltimore City is my backyard. So
All right, Keith. So I mean, how do you reach them? Go to Twitter.
yeah, is there? Hey,
Hit him
what's
up
that
on Twitter. Are your DMs open, Adam?
Yeah, they are actually. Yeah,
Oh, that's crazy. Bold man.
mistake number one.
Oh my God. I opened those things for a while. I closed them with just a bunch of junk getting my DMs
There
on
is some
Twitter.
junk in there for sure.
So in the last couple of minutes we have, like, what are the top one or two things you're looking for in an application? You're like, okay, this application is really jumping off the page for me and
Yeah.
standing out.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, our sort of general theme is early with traction with Techstars. So, for me, I prioritize the founder, and then I prioritize understanding, what the traction is. So, founder wise, I really do think, and I say this to a lot of folks, I think a great founder can make a good business great, and a good founder can make a great business good. So, I think the founder, especially early, is like a hugely determinant factor. So, I want to know something about you. I want to know. I love the videos. The videos help me a ton. They put context on they put like a little bit of flesh and bones on the application and on the words. If I don't have a video, it's okay. I'll probably reach out to you and try to schedule, a Zoom, because it helps.
You would do that? You got like thousands of applications and you're going to take the time to get somebody to do something they were supposed to do already? It's
Well, yeah,
required, isn't it?
the video I think for us is still optional.
Oh,
I think
really?
it's still optional. I haven't
Okay.
honestly, I haven't applied in the last year, but
Okay.
I think it's still optional. So if I'm interested in your business and I feel like I'm like just short of getting enough,
Right.
I reach out
Gotcha.
because I'm like, I want to, the goal is to find the founders.
Yeah.
So I want to know something about the founder. That's important to me. And then two, that sticks out a lot in the founding team. You need to know like who you're dealing with as a person. Are they flexible? Can they make changes if they need to? Are they ready to pivot because pivots are coming? All that kind of stuff. That's everybody. And also, are they the right person to solve this problem? Like that's another question.
Why then? Why now?
Yeah, like answer that for me somehow. Give me some of that. And then two, I definitely want to know something about the traction. So it can be, don't be perfunctory about the traction, even if it's like it feels trite in some ways. Like if it's just a waiting list, tell me why that waiting list matters. Tell me why I should be impressed. Give me enough to say, yeah, this person has put down a marker on this problem, understands it, and has figured out at least a part of the market. Not the whole market. We'll figure that out later, but they understand this enough to have figured out some of the market. That's big. Yeah.
Love it. So last question here before we hop. I assume you have a 2:30 hard stop, Adam?
I do. Yeah.
All right. Yep. So what is hot in this environment other than generative AI from an investor standpoint?
That's a good question. I'm totally biased, but I love green tech. I love sustainability, not sustainability just either in the environmental sense. I think building things that last is important to me in general. So if your business model feels temporary, I'm less, or like kind of, I'm going to shoot the moon and then be out and it's going to explode in the sky. That's not kind of, that doesn't get me excited, but I think building things that last matters a lot to me. So talk to me about green tech, talk to me about sustain. You're building something that is going to sustain. I get excited.
All right, so I've just been flashing these banners here. You can reach Adam here, his accelerator programs, his website if you want to book him for speaking.
That's right.
My community, my website, if you want to download our co-founder matching app, all that right here. Adam's got a hop. Adam, thank you so much for visiting with us, my friend. And we'll be in touch. Have an awesome day. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you. All right, take care, folks.
Bye-bye.